Okay, so in my last video we touched on what is the best long-range FPV drone for if you don't already own a long-range quad. But what about the best long-range FPV drone overall? Well, in my opinion, it is this guy here. This right here is the GEPRC Pulsar 9. It is a 9-inch long-range FPV drone. It's been on the market for around 2 years. And funny enough, I've had this quad since it came out. It was actually released in May 2023. I bought the thing. I think I was probably one of the first in the world to actually own it because it popped up on AliExpress. GEPRC never did an official release for this frame, and so it's been a bit of an unknown one amongst the masses. Because you haven't been able to buy this thing as a bind and fly, and it's a fairly expensive frame. However, I've flown this thing for basically 3 years now, and I can say with absolutely zero hesitation, this is my #1 flown long-range FPV drone. I've had this thing out over 24 kilometers from home and back again. It's had flight times of over 55 minutes, and it's able to carry some pretty incredible payloads. I rigged this thing up with 6S4P Lions. That's about 2 kilos of battery setup for anyone wondering. But funny enough, I actually made a review for this drone back in October 2023, but I never published the video, mostly due to my perfectionism, but also due to the fact that I hadn't really pushed this quad to its limits in terms of how far I could fly it. I think during that review, I only really flew it out about 4 kilometers from home, which I didn't think was that impressive for a long-range FPV drone. And so literally as a result of that, I never published the video, but I am going to be putting snippets of that into this video. And so for the first half of the video, you're going to see my overview of the frame to see what you get when you buy your own Pulsar 9. So let's take a look. So the Pulsar line of frames by GEPRC has just recently been released. It comes in 3 versions, the 9-inch version as we have here, the 10-inch and an 11-inch version. So the advantage of these drones primarily is their ability to carry much larger batteries compared to 5 and 7-inch drones. So as you can see here, this is a very high quality frame from GEPRC. The frame sports 7mm thick arms. It has 30x30 stack mounting and native support for the DJI O3 Air unit, both with 20x20, 30x30 and 25x25 VTX mounting in the back. And it comes with TPU mounts up front to be able to soft mount the O3 Air unit to get perfectly smooth footage with no jello. So as you can see here, one of the most noticeable features about this frame is of course its size. If you've only ever flown 5 or 7 inches, coming up to 9 inches is a pretty big change in terms of size. It's absolutely huge. As you can see, the top plate is massive, and this is brilliant as you're able to mount some pretty large batteries that you maybe could get onto your 7-inch, but the 7-inch maybe doesn't fly too well with. It's maybe too heavy. And often what happens is when you mount a battery that's too big for a quad, the extra capacity in the battery sort of gets cancelled out by the weight. You have absolutely no issues mounting components on this frame. As you can see, there's just so much room throughout it for mounting everything. You have your 30x30 stack mounting up front here. At the back here, as you can see, there is mounting holes for pretty much every size of VTX. You have your 30x30, 25x25 for walk snail, and 20x20 for Calyx Vistas. There's also so much room to mount other components such as LED controllers, buzzers, things that you might not be able to fit into your 5-inch. You can maybe get them onto some 7-inch quads, but on this guy, you can pretty much mount anything, and I don't think you're gonna have any issues at all in terms of needing to mount additional components. The frame also comes with some pretty high quality TPU parts. As you see up the front here, we have our GoPro mount, and what's cool about this GoPro mount is it's actually reinforced by this little carbon plate that comes with the frame, and this actually goes over the top of the GoPro mount, and then you put your screws through it, and this basically secures the GoPro mount in, so you'll not have any issues with the GoPro mount getting ripped or coming apart, you know, mid-flight. At the back here, we also get 2 TPU mounts, one for our GPS unit and another for our VTX. We have our 3 SMA ports up here, so you can put your 2 video antennas and maybe your SMA receiver antenna. Say if you're using an SMA barb pole antenna, you can put it right here. Okay, so what actually makes the Pulsar 9 the best long-range FPV drone? I know that's a pretty bold claim, and when most people hear that, they think, oh, this guy's been sponsored by manufacturer, so he's just saying that. Well, that's actually not the case here. I've actually built 4 of these Pulsars, would you believe it? I personally own the Pulsar 9, 10 and 11, which is actually up there behind us. I've built every single one of them with my own money, absolutely nothing from GEPRC on this one. And so I think I really am in a position to say that this is the best long-range FPV frame that money can buy, because it really is. So for me, the first advantage of this frame versus other long-range frames in the market is actually its overall size and frame design. As you can see here, this quad is an exceptionally well-designed frame. It's really high-end, as we touched on earlier in the video. The biggest feature, in my opinion, of this frame is actually just how big the top plate is, and this is really advantageous for a number of reasons. Number one is you're able to mount large packs on this thing's top plate with no problem whatsoever. You've probably seen online, there are so many crap frames out there, the likes of the GEPRC Mark IV, the HTLRC Recon 10, all these big long-range FPV drone frames that have tiny top plates, which I think is completely stupid. If you're flying with large LiPo and Li-ion batteries, you don't want to have a tiny top plate that can barely accommodate the pack and forces you to undermount. You want to have something that can hold a pack of this size with absolutely no problem at all. As you see here, this is a 5200. If I shift it up to the top of the frame, I can actually fit 2 of these in the top plate. And I've had this guy rigged up with a 9500 milliamp LiPo, which is absolutely massive. and the Pulsar can carry it with no problem at all. As I said earlier in the video, you're also able to mount 6S4P Lions on this frame, which is absolutely nuts. That's 2 kilos of battery and 20,000 milliamps of capacity, which is absolutely mental, and it allows this thing to fly for literally over 50 kilometers total flight distance, which is absolutely insane for a quadcopter. That is the furthest I've flown on a drone. Other than that, you've got a really high-end frame from GEPRC. It's top quality T700 carbon, and in my opinion, you're really not going to get much better than this. Second advantage is, of course, its flight time and flight distance. As I said earlier in the video, I've had this quad out over 24 kilometers from home, which is an absolutely incredible distance for an FPV drone. On top of that, this thing's typical flight time with a 6S2P Lion is like 20 minutes. And that's not even really pushing it. You can rig this thing up with a 6S3P and it carries it no problem whatsoever. That's about 15,000 milliamps of capacity for anyone wondering. And it'll fly for over half an hour with no problems whatsoever. And if you want to go that step further and rig it up with the 6S4P, you can do it. Bear in mind, this is very heavy for this drone and it does turn into a bit of a boat. The main thing is it can carry it. Similar to the Mario 8 with the 6S3P, it does have the ability to carry that payload. And that is only using 2812 motors. If you did step this thing up and put some slightly bigger motors on, you'll be able to get a wee bit more thrust. But I have found the best motor for this thing is a 2812. And we'll touch on that a wee bit later in the video. So overall, this thing is the absolute king for long flight times and efficiency. It's better than the Mario 8, and it's way better than my 7 inches, and it is always my go-to quad when I want to do cinematic FPV or mountain surfing and get a load of flight time and not have to worry about flight time. The third advantage of this quad is its flight performance. Now, in general, when you build big quads, they can be a bit of a nightmare to get tuned and flying smooth, but that is one thing I did not struggle with whatsoever with the Pulsar 9. If anyone has built a long-range FPV drone before, you know that when it comes to the PID shooting process, these things are a bit harder than your typical 5-inch. And the default PIDs on Betaflight are built around getting a 5-inch FPV drone to fly perfect. But when it comes to long-range quads, you have to do a little bit more work typically to get them flying smooth. However, with the Pulsar 9, this is the one long-range frame where I've had to do basically no work to it whatsoever to get it flying really smooth. I've been able to leave the filters pretty much stock, which shows you just how well built this frame is. Because that's typically the biggest problem when it comes to long-range frames. They're only built so badly or built with such thin arms and plates, but they have so much resonance it's basically impossible to filter out. However, the Pulsar 9, being a high-quality GEPRC frame, is incredibly well built, and as such, if you build this thing well, you'll have basically no issues with frame noise because it's basically non-existent in this frame. Also, when it comes to flying in challenging environments such as high winds, this thing is an absolute beast. When I took this thing out for its first flight over 2 years ago, I took it out to the sea on a really windy day, and I sent it up to chase some boats, to which the quad had absolutely no problems whatsoever cutting through the wind. It was a day where there was like 25-mile-an-hour winds, and I just did not feel them whatsoever. This was also before the Mario 8 came out, and so I only had 7 inches before this, and so the step up from 7 inches to this thing was just unbelievable in terms of the wind handling. I could just not feel the wind whatsoever. This thing is not bothered by wind at all. So if you're somebody who flies in high wind environments down by the coast or up in the mountains, this is absolutely the best thing you can get to be able to counter those winds and fly smoothly in them. So again, this thing is basically my go-to when it comes to flying in any challenging conditions whatsoever. And funny enough, I've actually used it for car chasing as well. And whilst it's not the fastest quad on the market, it's by far the smoothest cruising quads I've ever flown. Okay, so let's now talk about why you should go with the Pulsar 9 and not the Pulsar 10 or the Pulsar 11 if you're just getting into long-range quads. I have all 3 of them. The Pulsar 10 is on the wall there, but this right here is the Pulsar 11. And as you can see, it's absolutely enormous. And what I will say is, as smooth as this quad is, when you get above 9 inch, these quads do require a lot of tuning. This Pulsar 11 took me a good while to get it flying smooth. As you can see, it is absolutely enormous. The props are huge. I actually had to balance the props. And overall, whilst these things are a bit bigger and able to fly longer, they are absolutely not easy to get flying smooth. And ultimately, the gains in going bigger become a little slimmer once you get above 9-inch quads. So if you're deliberating over what one to get, go for the Pulsar 9. It is by far the easiest to get flying smooth with very minimal work required in terms of PIDs. And in this video, I actually am going to publish my PIDs for the Pulsar 9. That's one thing I didn't do with the Mario 8 because I knew there was going to be a lot of folks building with different motor sizes, different motor setups, different KVs. And copying and pasting PIDs is a really bad idea unless you have a build that's basically identical. You're probably used to seeing the likes of iFlight publish their PIDs and all online, but that's because their drones are literally identical. They're all produced in the same factory and they are all literally identical in terms of their components and their build. However, with custom builds, the slightest discrepancy can cause massive issues. Also arguably a little dangerous. It can lead to motors burning out, especially if you've got somebody using a flight controller with a bad gyro. It's just too risky. However, I will publish the PIDs for the Pulsar because I am going to recommend only using one set of components. So let's take a quick look at my Pulsar 9 build. In terms of the motors, I'm using the Brother Hobby 2812 900 kV motors. The reason I went for 900 kV is because they are much better suited if you're going for long range flying and efficiency. These motors only pull 33 amps at 100% throttle. You would think that it's going to pull a lot more amps than that, but actually it is really efficient with the 900 kV version. So if you're building your Pulsar 9 for long range, I would definitely go with the 2812 900 kV version. If you want more performance and speed, I would recommend going for the 1115 kV version of these motors. I actually run those motors on my 8-inch Shendrons thick, and they are really good for speed and agility. So if you want a fast-paced Pulsar 9, go for the 11-15 kV motors. So in terms of flight stack, I am using the Rush Blade F7 with the 60 amp ASC. This is one of my favorite flight stacks, and I use it on a number of my quads. The F7 flight controller sports an MPU 6000 gyro. It has a 16 megabyte black box and 5 UARTs for being able to connect all your peripherals. One of the other reasons I really like this flight controller is because it uses plugs as opposed to soldering pads, which keeps your build much neater overall. And you don't have to worry about things like running wires over the flight controller, which can sometimes cause interference with the gyro or other components. In terms of the ASC, I'm using the 60 amp ASC that comes with the Rush S7 stack if you buy them together. And this is a great ASC. I use it on a number of my builds, including some of my cine lifters, which show you how much trust I have in this ASC. It's rated for 60 amps constant and 70 amps on a 10-second burst, which means it's pretty much good for any 5, 7, 9, or even 10-inch quad running on 6S. So this ASC runs on the BL Heli 32 firmware. In terms of the settings I'm using for this quad, I run my PWM frequency on 24 kilohertz and my motor timing at 23 degrees. And I find this works best for the Pulsar 9 with the Brother Hobby 2812 900 kVs. In terms of video transmitter, I'm running the DJI O3 Air unit on this build. The DJI O3 is arguably one of the best video transmitters on the market, boasting the most powerful transmission, penetration, and the highest image quality, making it an absolute no-brainer for the Pulsar 9 and any cinematic quad in general. In terms of my video antennas, I'm running the O3 with 2 UFL SMA adapters, and then I'm running 2 iFlight Albatross 150 centimeter SMA antennas on the back here. And these antennas are great as they're really long, which means they're able to stick right up over even my largest of battery setups, which is great for long range, especially when you're flying out far. You want to make sure your antennas are not being blocked by anything, especially your batteries. In terms of my receiver system, I'm using TBS Crossfire. I'm using the Diversity receiver. I'm running one Immortal T antenna underneath the quad here on the bottom, and then I have a TrueRC UFL barred pole on the end here, and I have that running on the middle SMA port between the 2 video antennas. I also have one of the little Wi-Fi Finder 2 buzzers. So as you saw, that was my Pulsar 9 build. You might have noticed I was using the DJI O3 Air unit, and in the build guide I also used the DJI O3 because I made both of these videos before the O4 Pro came out. Now, similar to the Mario 8, to get the O4 Pro working on the Pulsar, you are going to need to use a bit of an adapted print mount. This frame was released well before the O4 Pro came out, so it was made primarily for the O3, and as such there's no official O4 solution. So it is going to be a DIY print solution, however it still works no problem. I have actually built the Pulsar 9 with the O4 Pro and it works no problem at all. There's no issues with gel in the FPV feed. You don't need to worry about that. But yes, in terms of the build, if you're looking for the best Pulsar 9 setup, you want to go with a 2812 stator and either 900 kV if you want to maximize efficiency, or around 1100 kV if you want to get a bit more power. But you do not want to go above 1100 kV because anything above that and you are going to get desyncs, because that is just a wee bit too much kV for a 9-inch prop. However, 2812 at either 900 to 1100 kV is perfect for 6S 9-inch. In terms of brands and motors, you can use whatever. I'm not affiliated to any particular brand. However, I do recommend T-Motor or T-Hobby stuff. They are kind of the top of the line option when it comes to band motors, along with X-Nova. However, X-Nova motors are quite hard to come by. So if you can't get X-Nova, definitely go with T-Motor. If you're looking for more of a mid-range / budget option, you could go with Emax, or as you can see here, Brother Hobby. I have the Brother Hobby 2812 on this guy, and I've been running these for 3 years now, and they've been absolutely perfect, super efficient. This is the exact rig I used to go out over 24 kilometers. So Brother Hobby 2812 900 kVs are what you want if you want to maximize efficiency, or basically any 2812 at 900 kV. In terms of stacks, you can go with any H7, F7 or F405 stack. You probably want to have an ASC of around 60 amps or bigger, especially if you're going with an 1100 kV motor. You probably will be pulling upwards of 50 amps there when you start to punch the throttle, so you definitely want to have a decent sized ASC. When it comes to ASCs in stack, or ASCs in general, whilst BL Heli 32 is preferable, do not buy a stack that has the test firmware on it, because you cannot change the settings in the configurator. And I actually would not recommend using AM32. Now, this is going to be a controversial one, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this. Generally, AM32 is still in its infancy, and when it comes to larger quads in general, all I have seen is reports of it desyncing, and that's absolutely not what you want on a big, expensive, long-range rig like this. So if you're looking for an AC and you don't know what to buy, try and get some old stock BL Heli 32. Now, a couple of brands that offer this are HackRC, and that's a brand I've used in a number of builds. It's in my other Pulsar 9. They are one of the only brands that I know that still have old stock BL Heli 32 on 32.9, the official firmware. So if you can get your hands on one of those stacks, you can buy them on AliExpress. There's still quite a lot of them from what I can see. They are probably the best for this because it allows you to get old stock BL Heli 32, which is the most proven ASC firmware on the market despite being discontinued. However, if you can't find any of that stock, do not worry. You can fly this quad with a Blue Jay or BL Heli S ASC. It flies absolutely no problem at all. The second Pulsar that I built around 2 years ago for a mate was actually using a GEPRC 8-bit Beale Heli S ESC and I flashed Blue Jay onto that, and that allowed me to get RPM filtering. Did, however, have to lock my PWM frequency at 48 kilohertz, I believe, which you'd think would be unideal for a large quad motor like this. However, it flew absolutely no problem at all, and that quad was also able to do incredibly long distances. So if you can't find any Beale Heli 32 stacks available, don't worry about it. Fly with Beale Heli S and it's absolutely no problem at all. It will not have any negative implications on the quad. In terms of receivers, you can of course run whatever. This quad has crossfire diversity. This was when I was mostly using crossfire for long range, but however, I've completely moved away from crossfire now. All I use is ExpressOS 2.4. And that has got me out the same distances. I've been out upwards of 30 kilometers with my wings. So you can go with ExpressOS 2.4, you can go with ExpressOS Gemini or Crossfire if you're still using it. Just make sure you get a diversity receiver. You 100% want to have a diversity on a quad of this size. As you can see, I have my horizontal antenna mounted on the front here, just underneath, and at the back I have my board pole, and that diversity antenna setup is the best for long range. One mounted horizontally and one vertically at the back. That is the best setup for maximizing your link quality at further ranges. As I said earlier, in terms of VTXs, you can run this with DJI 03, 04, Walk Snail, whatever you want to use. There is plenty of room.
So overall, the Pulsar 9 is by far my favorite long-range FPV drone. It's the one drone I can take with me and not have to worry whatsoever about covering distance. When I'm out flying with a Pulsar, flying as far as 10 kilometers is not even a remote worry with this quad. This quad can cover distances like that with absolute ease, and it is by no means a stressful mission when you're flying with this thing because it is just so efficient, and it's able to carry these much larger battery setups and an action camera without really breaking a sweat. As always, I've experimented with basically every pack size possible for the Pulsar 9, with packs as small as 4,000 milliamps right up to 20,000 milliamps, and this is the one quad that can carry basically all those packs with ease. So if you're somebody who's looking for a step up from your 7-inch, then this is by far the best option that money can buy. It is by no means a cheap frame, but it is 100% a high quality frame. And so if you buy and build this quad, you will be 100% guaranteed of long flight times, incredible wind handling, and the ability to cover distance with ease.
And so there you have it. There is my full review on the GEPRC Pulsar 9. It is 100% my favorite quad when it comes to flying long range. I wanted to talk about this guy for a while. I'm glad I finally made the video on it because a lot of people have been wanting to get into longer range quads. I've seen quite a lot of comments online, people wanting to get into something just even a bit bigger than 8-inch. A lot of people have been wondering what frames they should get. So seeing those made me go flip, I really need to put out my video on the Pulsar because I've literally been flying this since 2023 and I've not said a word about it. So there you go. There is finally my in-depth review on the Pulsar 9. And so as always, if you did enjoy watching this video, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know what you thought of this video. If you have any questions whatsoever about the Pulsar, drop them down below and I will respond to each and every one of you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.